So, that's the end of the virtual world arc. So, yeah. So, obviously, I want to end on the duel itself, because, duh. Well, okay. And, of course, as soon as I get started, as soon as I get started, or that, I'll deal with that in a bit. Anyways, here we go. So that's the end of the virtual world arc. So, obviously, I'm going to focus on the duel between Seto and Gosaburo last, because I want to, well, second to last, because obviously I'll be covering my thoughts on the virtual world arc as a whole at the end, but yeah. So yeah, I went ahead and gave the dub both points. Not as much as, basically it's Noah's fault. Because I don't like Noah. I find the explanation for a lot of his crap in the sub to be crap. And yeah, the redemption just feels better to me than just feels better to me, and also some of the reactions from Kaiba in the dub just work better for me personally. Not that Seto doesn't have some damn good lines in this thing. I mean, checkmate, Gosaburo, and you can't use data to evaluate me. Hey, those are awesome lines, and I will not hear to the contrary. But let's just get into it, shall we? So the episode starts off uh, Seto's off to go face Gosaburo. I'll cover all of the Seto stuff when I start covering the duel itself. So I'll keep that in one nice big chunk. Because meanwhile, the gang is being attacked by a bunch of monsters that represent pieces. Monsters that never actually really got any real showcase in the show itself within an actual duel, which makes sense for a couple of these. Because because it's fitting with chess pieces, right? So you have knights, which are represented by Skull Knight. You have um rooks that are represented by Rock Ogre Grotto number 1. Yeah, 1. Um, you have knights, of course, which are represented by Command Knight, or was it the bishops? Bishops. I can never remember. Either Command Knight or Skull Knight is representing the rook and the bishop, and then the other one is representing that, I think. Whatever. Point is, the pawns are also a card called Lizard Soldiers, monster called Lizard Soldiers. So, and to be fair, none of these monsters are all that impressive. Also, Queen, represented by Cosmo Queen. That one's pretty damn obvious, I would argue. At least it's not Queen's double, because that would just be dumb. Especially considering you have a powerful card with Queen in her name right there. You know. So there you go. But yeah, the gang fight it off, mostly as a diversion tactic for whatever reason. I mean, I know Gosaburo's planning to nuke everything, but shrug, I guess. I don't know. So Noah then also goes back to the real world in Mokuba's body, and in the dub, it's clear he wants revenge against Gosaburo. In the sub, his first thought is of killing Seto. Yeah, the redemption at the 11th hour actually makes less sense in the sub than it does in the dub. Wrap your head around that shit. Because at least the dub tries to justify it with some extra dialogue, and by changing the dialogue so that it's more about he comes to grips with it rather than what he literally says in the frickin' sub in part 2, which is Mokuba's body is begging him to save Seto, and that's why he has the change of heart. Yeah, no, you're not helping. You're not helping me believe your "I'm human, not a machine" comment, Noah. Sorry. Hey, like just uh who I mean, and admittedly, it doesn't help that Atem has a point that Noah has just done way too much shit for everybody to just openly forgive him right off the bat. Because the thing is that Yugi's got this big thing of he trusts Noah, he thinks Noah's on the up and up. But the thing is he's basing that on of what? What has Noah done to engender trust? I'll just go ahead and tell you, fuck all. Oh, he's done jack shit to earn their trust, and Jack's been out of town for a fucking decade at this point. Like, in terms of release order, you know? So, no, I don't buy for a millisecond that Yugi's faith is warranted. I think Yugi's being a naive dumbass, in fact. Sorry, Yugi. I like you as a character, I really do, but the problem with the whole "well, they're good, trust me" kind of characterization like this is we have to take the characters at their word because we aren't shown that. We're just shown the terrible things that are happening. At least with characters like say Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto that comes to mind immediately, there is at least some degree of okay, we've gotten to know the character, so we actually know them outside of them being an evil douchebag, right? Now, granted, some of that was filler, but you get my point. Right. There was at the very least a kind of you could see him in Naruto. You could see Sasuke being turned from the dark side. It was possible, in other words. But I don't feel like they earn Noah being turned back from the good side because all it is it like it's not even it's not even Mokuba whispering in his ear, right? It's literally just a feeling within the body is compelling him. That doesn't work. Again, the voice in his head saying, save him would just work better in my opinion, but nope. Nope. Uh, do, 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 do. Oh yeah, and then Merrick, of course, destroys the controls for the satellite attack um, because we need to have a ticking clock for no reason. Oh yeah, bringing bringing great great use of characters, guys. We can't have Merrick Duel. That would be crazy. No, instead we're gonna have him mess everything up for no reason. Yeah, okay. So yeah, okay. And then of course, Noah has his change of heart. He gets the gang out. Asks Yugi to go save Save Kaiba. He actually manages to. He actually says in the sub that he will open up a portal at Kaiba Corp in order to help them get away. Which actually leads to some stupidity in the dub, admittedly. But and then Noah sacrifices himself to trap his father there, which is payback in the dub, and Noah being suicidal in the sub. Yeah, no. I prefer the idea that Noah kind of redeemed himself at the end through his sacrifice, kind of a thing. Now, of course, the dub has to censor death, so we actually feel so that's why Mokuba in the dub says, see around Noah. Whereas in the sub, it is made crystal clear. Yeah, no, Noah's fucking dead. Gosaburo is dead. Noah's dead. That's it, right? Which again would make this so much better if it was set after Alcatraz Tower, but whatever. But yeah, I definitely prefer the version of the sacrifice in the dub, because in the dub it's very clear that he is stopping Gosaburo because they've caused too much harm, right? And it's not this fucking loneliness. I just want my father's love. It's like I get that Noah's a kid, but it's like, dude, face facts. Your father ditched you and treated you like shit. You have no reason to keep going back into that jackass's arms, other than to end him. You know. And Seto already, 2 times poetically gets rid of Gosaburo better, in my opinion. But speaking of that, let's get into the duel itself. So you're probably wondering why that I mentioned last week that I was going that this was the duel that I alluded to being my favorite in the whole arc because of that thumbnail. I specifically requested Steve make that thumbnail as it is because I wanted to foreshadow this being the greatest duel. Now, what's funny is that apparently Exodia Necross is kind of looking down at me and grinning. It kind of looks like Exodia Necross is grinning at me in the freaking thumbnail, which is hilarious. I've actually got it here to kind of look at it. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like he's kind of looking down on me. Now, if you know what Exodia's, how Exodia's face looks, you can kind of tell that that's more of just a, menacingly staring down at me, with Blue Eyes kind of doing the same. Like they're both looking at me like, you know. I mean, I mentioned puny god a couple of weeks ago. Well, I'm a puny human in that thumbnail, so there's that. But yeah, no, this is absolutely my favorite duel. It has some really good back and forth, which is hilarious because Gosaburo literally uses 7 cards total in this whole duel. I'm not even joking. He only uses 7 cards in the entire duel. Literally. Or, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. 8 cards. He uses 8 cards total. He uses Painful Choice. He uses the 5 pieces of Exodia, Contract with Exodia, and Exodia Necross. Those are your 8. That's the only 8 cards that he uses, which is hilarious that the duel lasts as long as it does. We'll get into Exodia Necross' effects in a moment. But, and Seto's actually got some pretty cool moves in this thing as well, including Burst Breath, which doesn't work on Exodia because of his effects, but it is still a pretty cool trap card. You sack a dragon, and any monster with lower than that dragon's defense points instantly blows up, which is actually kind of awesome. Now it affects your field too, so keep that in mind. But there you go. That's actually why Vorse Raider isn't affected when Spirit Dragon is sacked, because um, Vorse Raider has 1200 defense, and Spirit Dragon only has 1000 attack. So there you go. Um. So yeah, there's some great stuff. I love the Soul Demolition move, but we'll get to that in a bit. Uh so the duel begins. Gozaburo Hero basically pushes him. Or no, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I meant to talk about Seto and Gozaburo. So in the dub, it is effectively okay, I'm gonna give you payback because of the way you humiliated me. I'm gonna defeat you in one of your favorite games, which is actually a great form of revenge, in my opinion. You humiliated me in a game that I enjoy. I'm gonna humiliate you in a game you enjoy. Turnabout is fair play, right? At first, both Seto and Kaiba thinks Gozaburo is challenging him to a chess match because he calls it a rematch. But no, he wants to defeat Kaiba at a game of his liking, right? In the sub, uh, Gozaburo blames Seto for his death. I want you to understand something. The sub makes it pretty clear at the beginning of the arc that Gozaburo committed suicide. Yeah, I'm not gonna say sewer slide, or say or say Kermit sewer slide, because no, I will just come right out and fucking say it because I don't care about monetization. Obviously, that's what a Patreon page is for. But yeah, no, you know, my note just says it all. Blaming Seto for Gosaburo's suicide. Yeah, because again, no, no, Gosaburo just blaming Seto for that is so dumb. Because, no, Seto did not force you to end your own life, or even digitize your own mind. Which, depending on which it is, this is either memories of Gosaburo, or or him actually having just digitized his own mind. Which honestly, again, I prefer the latter explanation, aka the Dubs explanation, but that's beside the point. So then we get into the duel proper. Uh, and then painful choices played. Cade. Gosaburo starts explaining. In both versions, both Seto and Kaiba say you don't need to explain. And that has always irritated me. It's called proper duel etiquette. This is why people don't fucking explain what their cards do in the anime, because as you have assholes like Seto Kaiba demanding that they shut the fuck up and stop explaining their cards. I'd also like to just reiterate for the record that every single time Pot of Greed has been played and will be played, the effect is explained. So it's more than a little hip fucking critical, if you ask me. But that's beside the point. So, anyways, Gosaburo plays Painful Choice, selects the 5 pieces of Exodia. I prefer the Freak Out in the dub, although it is great that just we get that image of all the 5 cards in front of that image of Exodia. Odia, to end out the first half of the Exodia Necros episode of part one in the sub. That was awesome. That was an awesome shot, admittedly. So yeah, Gozaburo did his homework, read up on Seto being defeated. First only real actual defeat, in my opinion, and many others. Um, Exodia was the only legit win condition. And it was a heart of the cards moment, no less. The first heart of the cards moment. Regardless of which continuity, by the way. I think. Actually. I could be wrong, it's actually been a while since I've watched Season 0, so there might have been one earlier, because Duel Monsters was played a few times in Season 0, but that's beside the point. But then again, it was a draw. Kaiba Seto only ever lost in Season 0 once, and that was, of course, to Exodia. So, Kaiba picks Exodia's right arm, and then Gosaburo immediately sets it face down, and then Kaiba attacks it with Vorse Raider. And then this is when Contract with Exodia is activated. Which, fun fact, is actually a ritual spell card in the anime, because Exodia Necros is a ritual monster. It's just a unique one because it's literally needs all 5 pieces of Exodia in the graveyard, and you need to pay 2,000 life points, which is a lot weaker than in the real card game when it comes to Contract with Exodia. But then again, in real life, does not have Exodia Necros be a whatchamacallit? It does not have Exodia Necros being a ritual monster. He is just a regular monster. And I, of course, forgot to grab the images for the video. Because why would I bother with that? That's just silly. Sorry. Sorry, I'm being ridiculous, um, but yeah, no, it was just crazy. It's just crazy having to pay 2,000 life points, because that's half of the that's half of the whatchamacallit. But all the same, yeah. So yeah, Kaiba tries to do his burst thing, and then this is when all 5 pieces, Gosaburo finally explains what each of the 5 pieces of Exodia do for Exodia Necros in the grave. There are 5 effects, and they're basically all protection effects except for one. All right. So the protection effects are: the left leg protects Exodia Necros from any spell cards. The right leg protects it from any trap cards, from being destroyed specifically, by the way. Uh, the left arm protects it from destruction via monster effects, so no Cyberjar. Or, the right arm gives Exodia Necros an extra 1,000 attack every time it engages in battle, and the head of Exodia means that it cannot be destroyed in battle. So Burst Breath was effectively useless. So then after that, Seto goes ahead and uses a combo of Shrink and uh, Luster Dragon number 2, known as Emerald Dragon in the Japanese. And then this is when Seto finally gets the idea because of course, part one ends with Noah revealing that he's sending a missile. Also, you can tell he definitely makes it clear by the way he's speaking that yeah, he's had his change of heart, or which is another reason why I prefer the change of heart in the dub as opposed to in the sub, admittedly. It at least, so there's that. The he and I will. So then, Gozaburo tries to just say, "Fuck this! I'm going to take over Seto by force." Of course, Seto says, "Screw you! Ew, get back in your corner if you're an actual duelist." I mean, he's not. I actually kind of agree with Seto, who says later that he's a fake duelist, but that's beside the point. And then, of course, Kaiba. I love how Kaiba says, "I've already found a way to defeat Exodia Necross." Oh, and Gosaburo's just like, "Then do it, boy." As in, bring it. I kind of like that better. So this is when Kaiba announces that he's been attacking Exodia's body when he should have been attacking his soul. In the Seto claims he's been attacking Exodia's ghost. I don't like that angle. I prefer the body angle because, a zombified. Because effectively, this is supposed to be zombie Exodia. Effectively, it's just he's not a zombie type. You know. I mean, he's even got zero defense for fuck's sakes. Come on. So then he uses Soul Demolition, which apparently, according to the wiki, requires a fiend type monster to be on the field. That's why Lejin, the mystical genie of the lamp, needed to show up. Uh, and then he uses Soul Demolition. He sacks 2,500 life points because which is all but 100 of his life points because Exodia Necros dealt him 1,400 damage. Fun fact: yeah, literally the only battle damage Seto takes at all in this duel is that one attack on Emerald Dragon. How's that for funny? Then and then and the poetic finish comes in, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the final move in both Versions calls out Blue Eyes because that's actually when he puts his plan into motion because he draws Blue Eyes finally, and he's like, "All right, good, I can do this." This Monster Reborn's the lamp, uses the lamp's effect to special summon Lejin, uses Soul Demolition to get rid of the 5 pieces of Exodia the Forbidden One, and sacks both Lejin and the Magic Lamp Imp in order to call out Blue Eyes. He's he's that's checkmate. Right. And I love that both Seto and Kaiba both say that's checkmate. Right. Kaiba says, and I'm afraid that's checkmate. And then and he just simply coldly, wonderfully coldly says in the sub, checkmate, Gosaburo. Oh, chills, love it. Yes, poetic finish, which actually works, and this is actually the bit right here that I want to talk about the most when it comes to this duel. Now you might be like, why? Because this works on every level. And this is why I wish Alcatraz Tower was before this arc rather than after this arc. Because the poetic nature of this finish, of the very title that the dub gave this two-parter, of burying the past for good, would fit on every thematic level. It works on a thematic level. It works on a writing level. It works on a dialogue level. It works even on a meta level. Well, maybe not meta, but like in terms of a continuity point. Right. So it works well. It's well written. This finish is well written. It's a continuity point. It holds deep thematic significance, and it fits with the title that the dub gave this episode. And in fact, the Japanese name for this episode for part 2 is called Escape, and that's it, just one word, escape with 2 exclamation marks. Escaping the past. That checkmate is perfect because it buries the past. Seto is getting payback on his stepfather for all the shit. He is defeating Exodia, the very thing that started his string of losses. And it's Blue Eyes delivering that final blow, which is hitting on 2 separate levels. Not just because the first one is the obvious. Seto's ace monster is Blue Eyes. We know this. That's not a surprise. However, think back to episode 1. Think back to the Exodia obliterate scene. What did Exodia blow up? Up to win Yugi that duel. 3. Blue Eyes, White Dragons were destroyed by Exodia last time. So, Blue Eyes lost to Exodia last time. This time, Blue Eyes is the one that comes out on top and wins. Because that is how you cap off a brilliant storytelling thing. And again, it pains me that this arc is so badly placed, because think of that as the capstone of his arc. Think of that as the final pen strokes, right? Like imagine I'm jotting down Kaiba's thing, and then the thing, that final burst stream is the like a Mikami or something from Death Note or something. How wonderful that would have been. But as it is, this arc is unfortunately kind of crushed by Alcatraz Island, and I hate that. Which is funny because I actually don't remember Alcatraz Island, the Battle City Finals, as fondly, not just as other people do, but as much as the Virtual World arc. Then again, I also am one of those weirdos who's never liked Battle City, but that's beside the point. And honestly, this time through has definitely kind of cemented my opinion. I will probably go back to specific duels within season 2, but going back through the full show again, I don't think I'm ever doing that. Unfortunately, I'll stick to just clips and specific episodes that I want to watch, because there are episodes that I would love to rewatch. That's why I came up with the whole grade system. This is an A rank episode. Let's just be blunt. It would be S if the sub wasn't so frustrating. Specifically with the Noah stuff, but the Noah stuff is the only part of this is 2-parter that drags it down. Otherwise, this is a fantastic episode, and I am pleased as punch that we're finally here. We got to this point. It's just a shame that you guys are going to have to wait until freaking the 19th of August, which is about a couple, is like what, 3 weeks from now from your yes, 3 weeks away. This will be going live on the 19th. The fact that it's going live on the 19th just but yeah, that is that epic duel. I don't actually need my notes for this one because I know what I want to talk about for my wrap up of the Virtual World arc in general. this was a good arc. Despite all of my, despite some of my complaints and the fact that we had a Reddit view in here, then again, I've never liked the Nesbit Duel, so shrug. But you notice that in 1 sec. Then 21. So 23. Yeah, I'm right. It's 23 episodes. This arc was 23 episodes, and it definitely didn't feel like it was that long, admittedly. It took me a while to go through it, but that's just the nature of me doing these videos and whatnot. Because my usual approach is I do one or two of these, get one or two of these recorded, and then edit those and get those uploaded, right? Whereas for this one, it was, oh, okay, now I gotta, do this. I will admit, this was this arc was enjoyable. Again, I just lament its placement, and I honestly do feel like the scripts of this arc really needed a polishing pass. Needed a polishing pass. This or two, you know. Oh, so, yeah, the end, I guess. At the end, I guess. Yeah, that's it. The virtual world arc, ladies and gentlemen. A good arc, assuming we just pretend Alcatraz Tower happens in a different spot, but which is hard because the virtual world arc literally ends with set course for Alcatraz Island, full speed, you know? But regardless of any of that, it, regardless of any of that, that now we move on to Alcatraz Tower. Now we move on to the Battle City Finals. And this is interesting because I actually kind of parsed this out. So 24 episodes is how long this arc is. And it's only going to take me 7 weeks to get through it all. Because again, I cover multi-parters in one, which is kind of funny in hindsight, which is an average of 3 episodes, or no, sorry, I'm wrong. An average of about uh, roughly 3 to 4 episodes per covered per video on average. But it's obviously not going to be that way all the time. I mean, one of these has like 6, one of these has like 3, and a couple of them I think have 2. Regardless, though, there will be some interesting ideas and some headaches coming up because the Battle City Finals have always been some of the most, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, frustrating episodes because it always felt like Seto shoved his character development into reverse during this final stretch, in the final half of season 3. And sadly, I'm not wrong, am I? Because, boy, some of the things that Seto will say are things I'm going to be ranting about. Regardless, heardless from here on out, yeah, we're starting to creep up on the end of Battle City. Which also, one last final fun fact for you: we have now entered the final year of covering DM. From both my perspective, well, from your perspective, the videos are going to continue to go live for about another year. August 11th, I want to say, is when I said the final that the final video was going to do. Obviously, August 11th next year here. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm right. August 11th, and then the 18th is when GX will start. That's a weird thought that I'm like less than a year from covering GX. It kind of felt like a pipe dream because, like I said, 3 years ago I started this project. From my perspective, from real world perspective, 3 years ago. 3 years and like 3 years and like 2 months ago. 38 months ago, roughly, from my perspective. 38, 39 months ago, from my perspective. That's when I started this project. 39 months, definitely, from your perspective. Active is when I started doing the preliminary rounds of working on this, which is still a weird thought. Not gonna lie. I do have some interesting ideas for like the finale video, which if you've seen my Return to Trails and Final Fantasy Marathon videos, yeah, it's going to be a similar thing for there. I'm probably going to I'm going to probably gather up a list of all the duels, and I'm probably going to just do a nice big ranking of them. I will probably disqualify some duels. I'm definitely not talking about the stupid classroom duels. Those are just off the table completely. And I might remove a few entries, just disqualify a few entries to just kind of get and then maybe put them all at the bottom of the list because, none of them are interesting in my opinion. It'll be interesting. Maybe I'll rank the characters. I don't know. It's up in the air what I'm intending to do, but hopefully before August of next year, I can, a good month or two before August of next year, I can actually have these videos done. But on the plus side, hey, fun fact, I'm actually recording this on an interesting uh, with an interesting opportunity that knocked on the door. This is a Monday I'm recording this. And if you're curious, the specific video that's going live from my perspective is actually Brothers in Arms. So yeah, you can kind of see how far back that is for the record, right? Again, this is the 19th, so that's 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks up. That recording wise, I am now done. Obviously, I still have to edit this, and so close yet so far. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I've also calculated. By the way, if you're curious, I've actually calculated that because that's how I got the August 11th thing. It's actually going to take 19 weeks for us to get through the Dome arc. Yeah, 19 weeks. And that's if I don't put unexpected enemy, the challenge, unexpected enemy in the challenge as and finding paradise as long as I don't attach any of those to the thing, which I probably won't. I'll probably just keep it standalone, especially considering, two of those that I mentioned are going to precede episodes that I will be shocked as fuck if I decide not to put them in rant view status. I obviously haven't decided that because I need to watch through the entirety of the sub. Who knows? Maybe the sub will pull My Freaky Valentine or Fate of the Pharaoh out of rant view status. Because the dub sure as fuck isn't doing that. But I'm rambling at this point, which is usually my cue to chop off. So, I hope you have enjoyed my thoughts on the Virtual World arc. Next up, Alcatraz Tower. Until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. See you at Alcatraz Tower. Over, guys. Duel standby.